Oh, hey, I'm live. Let me switch the camera, dude. Alright, Stropes, part 5. Let me go announce this. I am here, nobody is there, blah blah blah, blah blah blah. Admiral Bumblebee. Okay, everybody, here we go. Let me flip the camera around. Da, 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 da. Alright, well, hello. Putting on my apron. So, it's stropey time. What's the camera? That's the camera. So it's stropey time, stroppy time. Gotta finish the strops today. Let me flip you around. I'll show you what we're doing. First thing I'm doing here is I didn't put my flashlight away. Actually, 1, 2, 3, 4. Battery is low on my flashlight. Alrighty, so today is less workshop and more workshop. I'm gonna grab myself a pair of safety McLarses. Oh, son of a, what is on there? Alright, so this is what stuff looks like right now. Oh, I know what happened. Damn it. Alright, well, that's easy to fix. So that's what's last thing that happened is I glued on the leather. That's on there nice and tight. So what I need to do is I need to cut off the leather. And I'll be cutting off the leather, and then I'll be putting a light coat of a finish on here. And then I just need to pack them up and ship them off. And, well, 3 of these get shipped off. I guess the other 5 are put online. Alright, so you can see what happened here. We have these light marks from the clamping. That's just a little bit of stuff that was on the clamps. That's easy to take off, just sands. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spin you around and I'm going to sharpen my knife. I'll show you that process. Alright, flippy doodle. Motion sickness alert. So this is my little sharpening station. It is not connected to running water. I have a bucket down here with circulation pump. These are water stones. Down at the bottom I have a foot switch that turns on and off the water. And then as I showed you before, let me see if this, let me back up here. In my thing I have a sheath for a Japanese knife. That goes in there and it just slides up this, and then this pocket holds in place so I can just pull my knife out. This is what I will be cutting with. So let me show you. This side of the knife is flat. Well, you can see this. Focus, 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 focus. There we go. This is flat, except for this is slightly ground down, so when you sharpen just the back side, you don't have to sharpen the entire back. You only have to sharpen this light edge. And then there are two bevels. So I am going to touch up these bevels, because I usually use this for wood marking. And the reason why it's like this is so I can mark right up next to an edge with the flat side, flip it over, mark right up to an edge with the flat side. So I am going to, first I'm going to fold up these papers. Good enough. This is a 12,000 stone. That is the grit, the size of the particles. The higher the number, the finer the grit. I'm going to start with an 8,000 grit stone. So with these stones, all I have to do is make that squeaky noise and unplug my LEDs. I am just swinging this knife all around. So, put it on here. Let me make sure you can see. You can't see very well. So, let me put this a little bit lower so you can see. Hey, I had two thumbs up just a second ago. Some jerk removed a thumbs up. Alright. I'll do this left-handed so you can see this. So I go on here, I find the bevel, just rock it till I find the bevel, and I just pull, I press down with one finger, and I just pull it. And that is all there is to it. Make sure that the edge is in contact. Get my thing here, and now let's do the right side. It only needs a couple strokes because I don't let it get very dull. The duller it gets, the more difficult it is to sharpen. So what this is doing is, on the back of it, it's rolling up the metal. The metal will be curved like this, and then I will go back on a finer stone and I will go back and forth until that burr comes off. So I'm just going to do a couple more strokes on the 8,000. It's only going to need about 10 strokes or so. When I put it down, I'm putting it down on the middle and then I rock it forward. So I'm not slamming it down on the edge, even though it sounds kind of like it. So I put it down and then I roll it. Should be sufficient. This is metal and this is water. This is carbon steel. It rusts very fast. So just make sure when I'm doing something else, I take a moment to make a loud squeaky noise. Damn it, did it again. My LED light is usually set somewhere else. So let me do that. Alright, 12,000 grit. On this, I am going to do 5 strokes. Of course, I lost count. I believe that's 5. I don't go back and forth on the stone with this, because I find it's way too easy to dig in going forward, having the cutting edge go in. Now I am going to go back and forth on the back to roll the edge forward. Roll the edge direction again. And basically what this is doing is this little tiny little bit that's very microscopic, well, not very microscopic, it's a microscopic bend on the edge. We're working it back and forth, and if you've ever worked with metal, you know that that work hardens the metal, and eventually the metal on that edge, that tiny little piece, will pop off, and you'll be left with a very sharp blade. So, just gonna go one time on each side, on the back. I do this once now, because I actually don't know when that burr has come off. So we're working at such a fine grit. So I want to make sure by doing only a single pass that if I overdo it, worst thing I'm doing is having a very ultra fine burr on the edge. But, and as I will show you, I take care of that in a different way. So, that's all there is to that. Turn my stones sideways to let them dry. Let me bring you back up here, and I will show you how I get rid of the final bit of burr. And this needs to be a very, very sharp knife. Man, I'm sorry about that, guys. So, I take a piece of pine. I have a bunch of scraps. I basically save all my long scraps, put them over by my bandsaw. I clean them out every once in a while, but I like to have little scraps and specific types of woods for stirring glues and whatnot, and for things like this. So what I do, see, take my knife and make sure I get rid of the burr. I just run it through a piece of maple long ways, once or twice. And that's it. That is all there is to it. I'm going to stroke it once or twice. And I do this with a micro bevel. I lift the edge up just very slightly. Just a tiny bit to clean up after pulling that off. And then, because metal and water, I oil my knife. This has a rag in it, a small little tin. I've shown you that before, if you've watched this. And I constantly put new oil in this, and I just wipe my tools on it. It keeps them nice and shiny. So that's that. So, I'm going to pull you in here so you can watch me cut this very thick leather. And down we go. So I have a cutting mat here. This is called a self-healing cutting mat because it heals itself. So I'm going to take the flat side and I'm going to run it up against the edge of the wood. And I'm going to do a very light cut. If you go really heavy, the knife wants to pull away and follow the grain, so you just do a series of very light cuts until you're all the way through. I believe I'm close. When doing something like this, if you feel that your hands are tired after a while, then you're just doing it wrong. You need to have a sharp knife and a light touch. Each time I go through, I can feel it separating at a new section. See? So I'm going to cut slightly ahead of it now. I don't know if you can hear that little sh, but that's a new section being cut of the leather. That should be all of it for this. Let me show you. perfectly clean edge. Goes all the way across. Feels perfectly smooth. So that's what I'm doing right now. I am cutting these. So you will see me cut a lot of these. And I'll go a bit faster. And to cut the opposite side, I have a different way of doing it, which I will show you. Let's see. Sometimes it's hard to get into the corners. And what I will do then is I will grab a chisel and I will just run the chisel along just to get that corner. There we go. And it leaves equally of a fine cut. I just want to cut this off here, give myself some more room. Actually, what I'm going to do is on stream here, I'm just going to do one of these and I will show you the whole process so you don't have to watch me go through and just cut 8 of these, which can be time consuming. Very time consuming. And a small problem I'm having is the bevel is actually a bit large for this. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to create a little chamfer on the offcut to make room for the bevel. Let's see. Pulling this back works. Yeah. There we go. So there's that. And we'll do this other side. Cut this. Should be a fairly short stream, I think, today, since I'm not going to do all of the busy work. So let me show you what's happening here. The bevel doesn't have enough room to push all the way down. So what I do is on this offcut, I just cut off a little triangle shaped piece here where that's occurring. Now the bevel can get in all the way. See? Said C and then I didn't show you. Okay, now we can get in all the way. Let's go ahead and just chop this edge off. And there's that. So I have this end piece left here, and obviously I can't go across with this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a line and I'm going to square this with a chisel. And my knife goes back into my apron for duties in the future. So take my square, line it up with the edge. I'm going to grab a normal X-Acto blade style knife. Oops. My edge just came loose. Then I'm going to make a very light cut with this. Just to give myself a registration place for my chisel. My knife keeps running off to the side. This is why I like using the other knife instead. There we go. I have a mark across, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a very wide chisel. Not something narrow, but something wide. I'm going to lightly tap off that piece. But first, some stroping to make sure I have sufficiently sharp chisel. I'm going to go run this over. There's a little bit of rust on here, but nothing near the edge. I'm going to run this over to the sharpening station, which I know you can't see. I am going to treat the back a bit. Just to make sure that I have the edge fully prepared on the back side, because something is not well polished on two faces, it's not possible for it to be sharp. Well, on the two matching faces, I should say. It's much better. I'm going to stroke the bevel side rather aggressively. Now that created a light burr, so I'm going to turn that over until I feel it go away. On a large cutting tool like this, I can feel the burr go away. And that's all there is to that. So this is a very sharp tool that has some rust on it. This rust developed before I started using my little oil can thing here. And the amount of metal that exists in the tool is made out of metal. So if I go through and I try to abrade all this off, I'm removing life of the tool. Makes the tool last not as long, which is not optimal. So I only am concerned about the very edge, and then over time this will clean up. I don't have enough oil in my wrapper guy here. And I appear to be out of oil in my oil can. So I will use camellia oil. This is tea tree seed oil. It's the classic way of preserving steel tools, which was used in Japan, in China, and Joseon. Joseon. Cannot pronounce Korean words well. I can read it, can't speak it. So, I have oil on my hands. I'm going to wash this off because oil will stain the leather and oil will stain the wood. So, gotta have clean hands to work with that. Alright, on my way back. So if you're watching and you have any friends who might be interested in this sort of thing, I implore you to invite them so that I may get a higher view count. So, dagnabbit. I did not fully dry my hands. I just got water on my chisel. Dry it off, reapply oil, everything's happy. So, I'm going to apply my chisel in those registration marks, give it a light tap, then I am going to move it over, repeat the same thing. I'm going to see how far down we are. I'm actually all the way through it. So I'm going to throw this in my vise real quick. Can you see the... Great. Now I am going to just chisel this down using a slicing motion. There we go. To flip it around. Going to do the same thing, but this time We do it left-handed. There we go. We're all the way off on the corners. So now what I need to do is just lightly make it through the center. I will reverse this and I will do this left-handed so that you can see. Your offhand. So the fact that I'm holding this chisel with my right hand makes this a left-handed operation. See if we've gone all the way through. We have gone through. So now what I need to do is go on here with the chisel, clean that up. But, oops, see, I'll clean that up. But all the way around, it almost looks like it's part of the wood. So, just drop my towel, put this back in the vise, and we are just going to take off very light shavings, just to get rid of any evidence of glue. Just a couple thousandths of an inch. And we control the depth by how high or how low. So as I'm pushing along, if I want to take more, I lift up my hand that's on the handle. That takes more, and as I'm pushing, if I want to take less, I push down with this hand and let my other hand go. So, and it goes by feel. You're not really looking to see how much you're taking off. You're going by feel. The harder it is to push forward, the more you're taking off, because the more material is on the top that is impeding your progress forward. So the easier it is to push, the less you're taking off. The harder it is to push, the more you're taking off. And after you do it a couple times, you start to get a feel, and then you can just remove little shades of glue. So, all the way around there now. So next thing on our list is to make a handle. We have this hole from turning, and rather than that being an evidence of the workmanship, we are going to make that a feature. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I am going to cut some strips. So I need to grab a ruler. I have never done this before, but I'm going to do it now. I don't like using my knife that I just showed you when I use metal rulers, because this knife is harder than most rulers, and if I move a bit, I will actually just cut this ruler. It just starts taking off shavings of the ruler, and what good is a ruler that's not at least partially straight, right? A&W Diet Root Beer. So, I don't know how I want to cut this. Let's give this a shot with our Olfa utility blade. Once again, light cuts. Heavy cuts will cause you to stray. I just went through, and there's that. So, I will cut all the way on that end. Oh my gosh. This is thick, hard horse butt leather. This is not the easiest to work with. As far as leathers go, however, it is one of the more high quality leathers. So, plan here is to drill out a hole. First I need to clean this up. But drill a hole, push this in here, add some glue, and we have a beautiful leather hanging loop. So I'm going to treat this, oh man, was I up here? I don't know if you can see anything. This is kind of dirty. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this in the vise as if it is a piece of wood. This is a bit difficult to set up. There we go. And as if it was a piece of wood, I'm going to grab a hand plane and I'm going to plane that edge off. It planes just like a very soft wood, almost like balsa. I don't know if you can see in here, but these are ultra fine leather shavings. I haven't taken off everything I want to remove. I want this to look really nice, because people will know that I made it. Must not bring dishonor to the family. And I'm going to take this in by hand, run it across the blade until I am happy with the outcome. That is sufficient. Looks tasty. So next is to I guess the next thing is to wipe off all of those leather shavings right into my soda. But that's how we do, I guess. My allergies are kicking up. I guess I'm allergic to leather shavings. I'm going to blow my nose real quick. I'll be right back. Once again, if you have any friends, family, anyone who likes this sort of thing, please link the live stream to them. Thank you. Viewers are a big deal on YouTube. It's how people like me eventually get to make money on YouTube. So, hey, if you can convince someone to mute this stream, put it on the background, that's great. I don't care if they're watching or not. I'm getting a telephone call. It's my wife. I will be back in just a second. Hello. Hi. Cool. I'm streaming right now. Love you, Wendy. Alright, that was easy. So, that was that. I'm going to put this together and determine how big of a drill bit I want. I suppose this is about 5 millimeters. Yep, looks like 5 millimeters is going to be the crushy size. So I'm going to take this. I'm going to look at my, actually, let's go with the metric bits first. I have a set of metric bits, so I can just go ahead and grab 5 millimeters straight up. Put that imperial scum back with the rest of the drill bits. Grab a drill. I'm using an electric drill because that's what I'm using. Let's see if we can't get you a better view. Oh, product placement. There we go. If you're watching this A&W, I got your back. Got your back, boys. So, question you might be asking is, to what depth? And the answer to that is just about whatever I feel like. So, see if we can mush this in here. Oh, it's just about right. So that's sufficient. So what I'm going to need to do is shave off a little bit of one side here. So I will put this back in my vise. Uh-oh. It was in there too much. I just want to shave off a little bit of this edge. I'm going to put this drill bit back for now. So you don't need to see that. And I won't glue this in until the end of the stream, because that would mean that I can't finish it. So I'll show you the finishing process first, and then I will glue. So I'm not going to touch my soda before I touch my iron plane body. Let's see how that looks. Looks alright. I'm going to need to shave that down with the chisel, just to get this little edge here to behave. There we go. Oh, oil. Always oil. I oil everything. Some people like patina on their tools. I think patina sounds like a stripper name, and I don't want it in my shop. Let's see how this fits. Does not. Ah, there we go. Want it super tight so this doesn't ever come out, but that is what it will look like. I'll clean up these edges and it will look very nice, and it will hang just like that. So next thing, and I'm going to be doing this to every single stroke, but I'm going to do it off camera because I like to listen to music while I work, and I can't listen to music while I do the YouTube thing. I'm blowing my nose again. My nose is running. YouTube will copyright strike me if I listen to music, so it's boring as hell. And let's be honest here, all that Creative Commons music is it's great for background stuff, but it's not great for doing work to. At least I haven't heard anything yet that's great to work to. Maybe it's out there and I just don't know about it, right? Entirely possible. Perhaps unlikely, but possible. Oil up my hand plane. Next thing is decide the kind of finish we want on here. And you will see. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this in the vise, and I'm going to clean up these edges with some sandpaper. I have a block here, and I'm just going to go around. Make sure everything looks extra clean. Anything that does not, it's going to look even worse when I add the finish. Because finish makes things pop. By pop, I mean it highlights the dark parts in the grain, and it does not highlight the light parts in the grain. So anything that looks bad is going to look worse, and anything that looks good is going to look better. So let's make sure we have our best on display. I'm not too worried about the handle because, as you will see shortly, that's going to get its own special treatment. for an ultra luxurious feel. And I'll explain how that's done in a couple minutes here. So I'm gonna grab a, oh man, I hate when my tools aren't where they should be. That wasn't me. Done. I'm going to move the cutting mat out of the way. This is technically my wife's, and we'll do our best to not get stuff on it, right? Right? Right. So this is half. 1/2 polyurethane. I use Minwax polyurethane. I'm not a polyurethane snob. I've tried General Finishes stuff, and it's cool, but for what I do, for what I like, I shouldn't diminish my own work because I'm actually really picky about how things come out. But odorless mineral spirits off camera. All right, on camera. Odorless mineral spirits, fast drying polyurethane. One part one part of the other. That's what that is. On my left hand, I put one white glove. Well, I only have blue gloves today. C'est la vie. And a workshop towel, which I will cut with some scissors. That has a little bit of oil on it. Doesn't matter. We're using an oil-based finish. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold this up. Can you? I am just not on my camera game today, boys. Let's dip this in here. I'm just going to wipe it on. And then I will show you what we're looking like. So you can see, makes the wood really look woody, right? If my camera would focus, and then the part that's not finished just looks kind of pale. So I rub on this onto all the parts that don't come into contact with the leather, including the handle. I don't mind getting a little bit on my right hand, just a tiny bit. So I can clean that off with just a dab of mineral spirits. Alright. Now, when I get close to the leather, I'm just very careful to try and not get on there. And as I explained before, I do not do this before the glue because it affects the way the glue bonds. And how I'm doing this so straight is I'm using my thumb as a guide, like an edge guide. So I just get it in place, and then I just do that. Get it where I want it, and then use my thumb as a guide. Always let your thumb be the guide. Ta-da! Just like that. Same thing on the top. The end grain is like a bundle of straws, if you've ever seen any woodworking analogies. That is extremely true when it comes to finishing. It will suck up all of your finish. All of it. It'll just suck it right up. So, just get on here. This is end grain 2. This is really difficult to do in these little corners. But I have a trick. I'll let you guess what the trick is. It's pretty obvious, to be honest. Where's my trick material? Well, the trick is to use a Q-tip, but I don't have one. So I'll have to come up with something else. That's about all there is to it. I don't mind putting it down. The finish is absorbing into the wood. It is not going to be harmed by rolling it around on the bench top like I'm doing. Not in the slightest. There we go. Well, I got it all in there. Alright, so let's set that aside for now. Now what I do is, while the finish is still wet, I'm going to take some very fine sandpaper and I am going to sand the handle. And what this does is it creates a slurry of finish and wood that fills the pores, and that slurry will make this very smooth. We're basically just filling in the pores of the wood right now, and the finish is acting like a glue that will hold that in place. And I can feel it through the gloves. It just feels glassy already. It'll just be very pleasant to hold. I don't know if you can see it on camera or not, but it's starting to get a much lighter color, as if it's not been finished at all. Because we're pulling up wood dust. So there's that, and now I'm going to set this down. I'm going to put a tiniest bit of finish on here, and I am just going to rub it in somewhat aggressively, because I don't want to rub off that slurry that we just got on here. I want to rub it in. There we go. I don't know if you can see, but without any polishing or anything too labor intensive, we got a little mark in the wood there. Nothing you can do about that. Sometimes the wood just has some weird grain. And that's it. So once this finish dries, I will just put some glue. I will show you what type of glue. Type Bond. Original woodworking glue. Or original wood glue. Whatever. I will dump some of that in there. I will take my handle piece, and I'll stuff it in there, and then it'll dry, and that'll be it. I'll put that leather side down to dry, and throw away my little piece of stuff. Oh, I don't know how many people are watching, but what I do here is I grab, actually, let me restart that sentence. That didn't go the way I wanted. We're going to take them all again. So, using mason jars, which is what I like to use, what happens is you have some finish, that dripped off around the edges. You close this up, finish dries, and that's it. You have to break the piggy bank to get your finish. And I don't think many people like glass shards in their, in their furniture. Sorry for that noise. I just take a little bit of wax on my hand. I just wax the threads all the way around. This is an oil-based wax. This will not mess with the finish in any way whatsoever. I do it on the inside here as well. But my fingers already have polyurethane on them anyways, so it goes on super nice, comes off super nice. You let this sit for years, and it'll be like the day you concocted it. So that is making a strope. So I'll waste a glove. I'll just use a new glove later. You can see actually on my sandpaper here that slurry that we created of wood and finish fills the pores. So I got a lot of these boys here to do. I'm gonna have to cut up. I have to do that, hours worth of work to 8 of them. So that's what I'm gonna do. Actually, first thing I'm going to do before I do that is I'm going to take a short break and let my sinuses recover from the leather dust. So thank you for watching. If you go to my website, www.admiralbumblebee.com, in about 48 hours, there will be a... Sorry, I got distracted. There's dust on my strobe. There will be a link to the Strobe Plus. The link to where you can buy it. Wait a second. Before we stop, I will show you what the strobe comes with. You need polishing compound on a strobe for it to be useful. You do not just simply rub the leather on the steel. It doesn't do anything. It's non-abrasive. So with each one of these strops, I will be including a little cut off chunk of this crayon. And what is this crayon? This is chromium oxide number 3. It is a very fine abrasive. Each tiny little particle is about half of a micron. So you put that highly abrasive, yet highly fine, is that the way you say that? Very fine? Highly abrasive, yet very fine material on your strobe. And this nice rough leather, rough yet nice to feel leather will take that, and then you rub your knife on it, just like I've been doing with my strobe. You can tell that's why this is so dirty here. This is actually metal. The black is metal that's been rubbed off. You can see this is what the green side looks like. I use a different type of compound that I personally prefer. But this is my green side. You rub the crayon on there, and then you rub your knife on there. I'll have a separate video on that's produced better than just doing a live stream on how to use this to sharpen your knives and chisels and whatever. Yeah, that's it. So each one of these will come with everything you need to get started, along with a link to an instructional video on how to use it, even for people that are complete and utter and total beginners. Will be able to use it with my instructions, I think. I'm fairly certain you could probably teach a 6-year-old to use this safely. Thank you, and please go buy yourself a Diet A&W root beer made with aged vanilla. It's a fantastic product. So my phone's ringing again. Goodbye. www.admiralbumblebee.com. See you later.